Now I'll take the chance to introduce our speaker, Phillip Chin. So Phil is a portrait photographer who's working between Vancouver and Toronto. Since 2012, he's been devoted to the 1850s photographic process called the wet plate collodion photography, also known as tintypes and ambrotypes. He uses an old wooden camera and shoots on metal plates and glass. Phil's passion is capturing that one moment of time that the subjects share with him. Phil is currently working on few Tinty-Types projects. One is Chinatown, where Chin will be expanding on prolific Chinese photographer Yu Cho Chao's work, creating portraits of different members of the Chinese community. A fun project is cosplay, where Philip creates portraits of people who dress up as their favorite costume characters. And is creating legacy photos of chefs across Canada who embrace their palate and country. Phil's talk will be about honoring our past to shape our future and how his art reflects an experience of being in the moment. Over to you, Phil.
Hello, welcome. My talk, Honoring Our Past to Shape Our Future and Living in the Moment. And we just live that moment. Thank you. All right, so my name is Phillip Chin, and this is my day job. I photograph people. So different people for different companies. I shoot everything digital. It doesn't matter what happens. I just have to get things happening. So when I'm doing a portrait with some people, I usually get between 2 to 5 minutes to create my photos. Sometimes I get more time, sometimes I get less. So no matter what happens, I have to get the shot because that's my job, day job. Now, what I do for fun is the totally opposite direction. This is what I do for fun. So I do this process called tintypes. It's a creative process using a black and white process from the 1850s. I discovered this about 10 years ago, and it has, let's say this, it changed the way I saw things. Okay, and the process is all analog. There's nothing digital about it. You do not need any lighting, any electricity. You just do it. It's what they did back then. So images for the process for tintypes. So these are all shot on metal plates or on glass plates. And this is one of the cameras I used to take the photographs. So this is from the early 1900s. I kind of went old school, back what they did back then, but you can also shoot it with a little toy camera called the Holga. You can shoot it with any type of camera that takes film. Now, with this camera, you can get decent results like this. So this was just shot with a toy camera. You can do it with anything. It's such a creative outlet. So I have a lot of fun with this process. Okay, so honoring our past. Every one of us, since we were born, have life experiences from when you're born to the moment now. And I believe that everything is put into layers or drawers or boxes, however you perceive it. It's stored in our mind, and it kind of makes us who we are today. All our experiences, all the good, all the bad, everything. It kind of shapes our reality. It helps us, let's say this, it makes us who we are today. It makes us how we think. It kind of works in the sense that the way you live is kind of almost dictated by how you grew up. But what I saw was, for me personally, and I can't say for anybody else, the way I grew up, I had to look back and see my past. I had to see back what made me tick back then, and from growing up, from what I do now. So I want to say this. For me, COVID changed everything. I know it changed everybody else, like the world. We did not know what's happening. And maybe I had to rethink everything because, like a lot of people, we were not working. For me as a freelancer, not working for 1 year was pretty big. Basically, my life savings was gone. Thankfully, we're living in Canada where we had CERB, I don't know what I've done without that. But it made me, I had to rethink everything, and I had to rebuild my foundation. And that's also what my business consultant said too. You have to redo everything because you don't have any more clients. So I had to rethink how I did everything. And I started from the bottom up. It was tough. For the first year during COVID, like a lot of people, I think you watched Netflix or you did something. You did not know what's happening in the world. So the first year was kind of confusion. And then second year, we understood what's happening. We understand that there can be a cure. So things started changing. During that time, I rebuilt my foundation and I slowly started to work. But I also thought, do I want to do the same thing I was doing in the past? I'm going, was I happy? Not really. Well, yes and no. I was making a living, a decent living, and it was fun at times, but was I happy? Was I excited to go to work every day? And I thought, yes and no. So during this opportunity, during COVID, I figured out, you know what do I really want to do? I had to figure that out. So I looked back and figured everything. I looked at all the stuff I've done. Do I stick with photography? Do I want to try a different career? And I thought, okay, 10 years ago, I discovered tintypes. And I've been doing it on and off for the past 10 years. And I'm very fortunate that I got to do an artist in residency over in a place in Vancouver. So I got to work on tintypes for a season. I got to work on a TV show, working on my tintypes. I got to work on a film where I got to shoot the gallery shots. Like I was very fortunate where I got to do it on and off over the 10 years. And I thought, you know what? I'm very passionate about this. I wanted something that was not digital because I didn't want to sit in front of a screen all the time. For work, you're shooting a digital camera, you're tethered to a laptop or a computer, the client's looking at the images, they're saying yes, no, yes, no, yes, 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 no, we're done. Retouch those, give it to the client, repeat. Did I want to do that? Do I want to keep doing that? No. So I decided I'm going to go back and try this process. So about 9 months ago, I decided it's time. I thought about it for years. How far can I go? And then last year, I said, okay, I'm going to do this. So I decided to do one step at a time. I tried one thing, I pulled out my equipment and I cleaned it. I thought, okay, that's one thing. And then I thought, okay, what else am I going to do next? I will start ordering chemistry. I started understanding the process again. I have not done it for about 2 years. So I thought, okay, I'm going to try it, work on it step by step, one thing at a time. One thing led to another. I started shooting more images. They weren't very good in the beginning because I haven't done it in a long time. But as time went by, they got better. So anyways, I decided to fully go into it. And I've been doing it for the past 9 months, 7 months, 9 months. And I've been totally immersed in it. And it's been an incredible experience. But the beauty of it is that you're not just doing it for yourself, you're taking other people on a journey. So when I get to photograph a subject, I get to take them back to the 1850s, because what I'm doing is I'm doing an original process. I'm using old historical cameras, the old brass lenses. I have to make my own film. So back then, photographers, they made their own chemistry. They made it from scratch, and they used it to pour onto metal plates or in glass, and that's how you make your images. So I'm using the same formulas as they did back then. So I was trying to be as true to form as I could. So back then, I said, okay, this is it. I'm going to be doing this. So let's skip a bit. Can we? Oh, I'm in charge. I forgot. Okay, so I'm going to play a little video. What's next? We're going to go into a little video, I think. Yes. Okay. This is what I do. So basically, I'm peeling off plastic off a metal plate, and then I'm going to be coating it with a thing called collodion. This is the original formula from the 1850s. So basically I have to cover the entire plate. So the entire plate, that is the actual film. So that chemical. So I have to coat it, put it back in the bottle, get rid of it. And what's happening now is I get rid of all the excess collodion. I want it to be even. And then once it's ready, then I'm going to take it into the darkroom. Oh yeah, by the way, this stuff smells really bad. It's toxic, so you don't want to be doing it too often. But yeah, so basically the plate is ready and I'm going to take it off to the next step. So next step is my darkroom. So this is made out of 2x4s and recycled cardboard. And on the left-hand side, there's the black container. That's my silver nitrate tank. That's basically where I put the plate in. And if you notice, when I pour the collodion onto the plate, it's in daylight. So it's not sensitive to light. So in the dark, I have to put it into that box, let it stay there for 5 minutes. Once it's done, I take it out, I put it into the middle container, middle tray. There's a black object there, and that's my film holder. So I put it in there in the dark. And then after that, then I can take it out and take an image. So this is what it looks like from my perspective. So working with this old camera. So this subject is across from me. When you look in the camera, look in the subject, the person is upside down and they're actually reverse. And my exposures, the time the lens is open to capture an image is 22 seconds. So when you're taking a photo with your digital camera or your iPhone, it's going click, 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 click. It's very fast. It's a fraction of a second. I'm doing 22 seconds. That's a very long time. Here. Okay, Maze, I'm just focusing in your eyes.
Okay.
Excellent. Hold still. Your head's against the head brace?
Yep.
Perfect. Good. Okay. 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 So I'm gonna go here. Okay. Okay. All right. You ready?
Yeah.
22 seconds. Calm down, relax, take a breath. It's all good. Here we go. Counting down. 3, 2, 1, go. 5 seconds. 10 seconds. 15. 20, 21, 22. Good job. Relax. Excellent. Okay. All right. Perfect. Okay. 22 seconds. 22 seconds is the magic number for me. Reason being, it's a long exposure. I'm not taking, it's not a digital camera, it's not an iPhone. My digital camera, what I use for work, I can take 20 frames in 1 second. That's a lot of pictures. Now imagine that times 22. That's 440 images. What I would take with my digital camera for that time I did there. Now with 440 images, I'm sure you're going to capture a great image in there somewhere. You're going to catch a nice expression. Something's got to be good. The odds are there. But for me, I get this magical time, and I'll tell you why. During those 22 seconds, when the subject is there, I get them to relax. I let them ground themselves. I let them block out everything else. I let them focus between themselves and my camera, or themselves and me. And in their mind, what they're thinking, wow, I'm getting photographed, but it's really cool setup here. You know, it's really interesting. Wait, can I blink? Should I blink? Oh, wait, can I blink? No, wait. Yes, I can blink. I'm allowed to. You told me that. They're anxious. They're nervous. They're excited. You have all these emotions. And you know what? Everything is built in your body. And during those 22 seconds, everything comes through it. It goes through their arms, their hands, their fingers, their face, their mouth, their nose, their eyes. It all comes through it. So instead of getting 440 frames, I am getting all these emotions, them living in the moment. I'm getting all of that 22 seconds into this living photograph. So I'm actually capturing a real part of their life right then, right now. And that to me is one of the greatest gifts, because they're giving it to me, they're giving it to the picture, the plate. And when we develop the picture, we get to share that with everyone else. So for me, that is part of the journey. And when they're thinking during, one thing somebody told me when people was photographing, they told me was, Phil, it's really hard to hold still. Yes, it's very hard to hold still. And a lot of things were going through their mind. But one of the thoughts they thought was, they're thinking, my great-great-grandparents had their photographs taken, and it was like this. And I got to experience this. So there was a connection where they thought about their grandparents. So that to me was like quite beautiful. So, yeah. So for me, it's not just about taking the photograph. It's this connection that I get to have with the subject, but also the connection with the subject has with themselves. So it's kind of a growing experience. All right, I'm going to try the next thing here, see what it is. Oh, back to the darkroom. So anyways, take the shot, take it in the darkroom, develop it on the right-hand side, take it out, and here you go. This is what happens. Yeah. All right, Ace, take a look.
Oh, wow. Yeah, great detail this time.
Oh, it's really good. So that's the metal plate after it's developed. And then we're going to this fixer, and you'll see what happens here. So the image was in reverse. It was a negative. And what's happening is becoming into a mist, into a cloud, and the image is disappearing. But then all of a sudden, their image appears normal, and you see it coming through the mist. And when you see the expression of people, you see what they see. It's like they're excited. They haven't seen anything like this in a long time, or the younger generation has never seen this. And to share what I do with them and seeing how excited they are, it's everything to me.
Yeah. Oh, it shows up more, for sure. The contrast is definitely.
Oh yeah, that looks really good. Let's take a look. Bring to the light. Oh, you look great.
Yeah, that's sharp. Good.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's a good shot.
the black made a huge difference.
Yeah,
Okay,
it does. That makes it
awesome.
pop.
Okay,
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
Excellent,
Good
you got
job.
it.
Yeah.
Good job.
Great, thanks.
Thank you.
So send me a shot if you get a chance.
So when I do a session with somebody, we should do 3 shots. First shot, they're getting used to it. They're giving me what they have in the beginning, the first 22 seconds. The second shot, we're talking about how we can improve the shot, what kind of poses or anything they need to tweak, and they become more confident because they're getting used to the process. So when the next time they give me the 22 seconds, I get something a little different from them. So each time we do the shot, it gets better and better, and we get a little bit more in themselves. And you'll see the progression with each shot. Now, each shot is unique because you can never replicate it, reproduce it. Each shot is done at a certain moment in time, and the person can see the progression as we shoot. To me, I don't think, let's say this, I'm not an artist, but I like creating art, and I love sharing this experience with people. So for me, this is like more of a gift to me than them, because what they give me, it's priceless. Anyways, what's next here? Sorry about that. Shaping our future. So looking to our past, looking in the past, you see where you were, all the good and bad. But you know what? Even with all the bad, even the things you say, I wish I could do something different. You know what? You can't change it. It's already done. It's in the past. And the only thing you can do is something like that happens in the future, you try to change it so it's a little different. But here's the thing. Every one of us has our own past, has our own experiences. But you know what happens? Today, all our past experiences brought us to this point right now. So something in there kind of says something there. So I'm kind of excited about that. Now, here's my thing. When I wanted to get back into tintypes, it was a hard decision because I don't make a lot of money doing this. I do it because I love it. I love sharing it. I love the experience. So I thought, okay, am I going to do this? And it took me a while, but I said yes. But I had to do one thing at a time. I had to take one step forward, and then I do another step forward, and another one. I had to make that commitment in order to do it. I can talk about all I want, but to actually do something about it, that's when I had to make that decision, and I had to go into it. Now, I've been doing it on and off for about 10 years now. So I kind of think of it as I'm playing the long game. I didn't go fully into it in the beginning and saying, hey, I'm going to be a tintype photographer. This is so unique. I'm going to make a living doing this now. It was a long time, and you have to be persistent. You have to want to do it. So everybody's a little different in what you want to do. Everyone here is a creative, which is why you're here. But here's what I think. Are you happy where you are right now? Are you happy with your career? Are you happy with your life? Do you want to change anything? If you do, figure out what you want to do. And when you do, don't talk about it. Do something about it. Take that one little step, 1 inch, go forward just a little bit. And you know what? When you do that and you say, okay, I like this, then do another step, do another one, and get closer to your goal. A friend of mine, I had dinner with a friend a couple of days ago, and he told me, we just caught up. And he was telling me, Phil, before COVID, he's going to go traveling. He was going to go traveling with his friends, and they decided, you know what? This is really hard. I think I'm going to do it next year. What happened? COVID hit. Didn't have a chance to do it next year. Like, they lost opportunity. They still haven't traveled. It's like, you don't know what's going to happen. And actually, can I ask the time? How much time do I got left? Sorry. Did I go over already?
It's
Did I go
okay.
over?
Just
did I really go over?
till you're
Did I really
done.
go over? Oh, sorry.
No. It's okay, Phil.
I went a different direction. That's good. Okay. Shaping our future. It's like, you don't know what's going to happen. I'm going to go somewhere dark a little bit, just a little bit. And I apologize if it's going to work for people. 10 years ago, I was doing quite well in photography, and I traveled a lot. So I was bouncing all over the country, different cities and whatever. But for a certain time, I was working in Toronto a lot. And I was thinking about moving to Toronto because I was spending more time in Toronto than I was in Vancouver. So one day, I had to do a 10-day job in Toronto, and I was visiting my parents before I left. And my dad wasn't doing too well. He was okay, but he wasn't doing too well. And I thought, you know what? I already committed to these jobs. I'm going to. I wonder if I can back out of these things, but I found out I couldn't. It wasn't right. So, anyways, chatting with my dad, he's saying, Phil, you're going on a trip, but you know what? If anything happens to me, take care of mom. I said, Dad, nothing's gonna happen. Nothing's gonna happen. You know what? I'll be back in like 10 days or 2 weeks. And I said, okay. So flew to Toronto. First day went location scouting, finding the places around to shoot, finding backgrounds and setups and whatever for all these different locations. And then next day we shot. And then I had like 2 or 3 days off before I had to do my next shoot. So I thought, okay, you know what? For some reason, I thought I should fly back home. I should go see Dad. And that was in my head for a bit. And then something happened, and then I lost track and I didn't do it. Anyways, next day, I went location scouting again, and then I was driving back, and then I got a call. And it's my sister. I said, oh, I thought she's saying, hey, how you doing? Like, how's Toronto? Got the call. He says, Phil, Dad died this morning. Get home now. Mom needs you. In shock. I was like, what? I was just thinking of going there. And I thought, no, it's not happening. I didn't understand what's happening. They said, get here now. So basically, I bought a plane ticket, flew back to Vancouver. That night, saw Dad in the hospital, whatever. Anyway, saw him there with the family. And we had to start making arrangements for the funeral. But then I had to go back to work. So basically the next day I had to fly back to Toronto, did my job, came back, still made arrangements. I just kept going back and forth for about the 10 days, whatever. I regretted not going back and doing something that in my gut I knew I should have done. I regret it, but you know what? I can change it. So basically, you deal with it, right? But one thing I got out of it, which kind of shaped for my future, was that I did not want to have that same circumstance happen with my mom. So basically, because of that, I am adamant about taking care of my mother. Like I have two siblings, we all look after her, but I want to make sure that nothing happens to her while I'm out of town. Like I want to make sure she's taken care of. So that kind of shaped the way I kind of saw life. And do I regret it? Yes. Can I change it? No. But you move forward and you change things for the better, that you will not go through that circumstance again. So, so for another way, sorry, I got a little weird there. But for you guys, I think that if you really want to do something and you're thinking in the back of your head, you know what? I want to be a chef. I want to be a painter. I want to be something. You know what? Take a step, because you don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. Just edge a little bit and try it out, because you know what? You may love it. You may not succeed, but you're going to try and don't regret it. Okay, so that's one part there, being in the moment. So it kind of goes back to the 22 seconds. Living in the moment. You know what? I've always wanted to do certain things in life, and I've always kind of hesitant here and there, but not anymore. Not with COVID, not the way things go. I'm not the best example, but I try to be in the moment. I try to share that with other people. I try to get them to live a little, just a little more than what they're doing. Because you know what? We're all here together. And you know what? It's only one way that we're going to move forward, and that's helping each other out. So I think that being in the moment, kind of living it, being there mentally, because it's, you know, it helps people. I see people every day here in Vancouver and in Toronto, and I see where they're at, and you're just trying to, sometimes it feels really hard, you know, seeing where they're at. People need help. I'm very fortunate that I have a very strong support system with my family and my colleagues in Vancouver and in Toronto. Did I mention I've been in Toronto quite a bit in the last 25 years? I have so much support in Toronto. It's like my second home. I've been gone a week and I miss it already. It's crazy. But living in the moment, yeah. Anyways, I think I got off a little bit track. What else was I supposed to say? I apologize. How far did I go over? Because I feel really bad. How far did I go over?
You're doing great, Phillip. Don't worry. This is great. Would you like to continue? Is there anything else? Or we have a lot of questions, so if you're ready.
Let's go with questions. Maybe we'll answer that during the thing. I'm sorry, I went off a tangent. Okay, let's go with questions. Do I have anything else here? 22 seconds. Oh, exercise. Got it. Sorry, we do one thing? Okay.
Yeah, of course.
So this is what I want to do. So I don't know who's there, but 22 seconds is the magic number. So I want you everybody to do, if you don't mind, what I want everybody to do is everyone's on a laptop, I believe, or on a phone or something. What I want you to do is look at your camera, that little dot, that glowing dot. Okay, So everybody, look at the camera. I want you to move your left shoulder away from the camera. I want you to turn your head towards the camera, raise your chin up a little bit, and push it forward just the tiniest bit. So what's going to happen is that I'm going to set the clock for 22 seconds. I want you to hold still. I want you to look at the camera. I want you to calm down, relax, block the world out, and just be yourself just for 22 seconds. Okay, so let's try this. 22 seconds. Here we go. Counting down. 3, 2, 1, go. Oh, sorry. Go. 5 seconds. 10.
10,
15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20.
21, 22.
Good job.
Good job.
All right, guys. Thank you. I don't know how you all felt. You don't have a big camera in front of you. You don't have a lot of lights. You don't have me kind of intimidating you. But why don't you get a feel for what people are going through? Hopefully you got a little bit of peace out of that. You thought about something good. I don't know. Everyone's sick's a little different. So we'll see. Okay, so thank you. I think that's it. We done that. Shape your future. Close enough. Let's go with questions. Okay, let's go with questions.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Philip. Yeah, I mean, there's like so much to unpack there. I mean, but like one of the biggest things for me, I think, were just like all like the metaphors, right? It's like connecting the past with the present, but like actually physically with like a massive like the photo device, you know, with analog, you know. And then there's also this story of, you know, it's never too late to dig up the past. It's never too late to learn about your ancestors, because you mentioned how, you know, you found tintype like 10 years ago, but that was the long predecessor of the digital camera that you were using for up to 8 years. So I think that's something that a lot of us can take away from this, is like saying like it's never too late to understand our history and to understand our past, and to really like, you know, like also let's look at the fact that, you know, they were using toxic materials back in the day. Like,
yes, they were.
Like kudos to those folk who like obviously they didn't have like rubber gloves and stuff like that neither, right?
A lot of photographers didn't survive.
Oh my god. But there you go. I mean, and
a little young to say that, but yeah,
I think that's one of those things, right? Because of their loss, or because, you know, unfortunately, like their loss and their death, like we now have like the art forms that we have now, right?
Yes.
So I think this is a great way for us to segue into our Q&As.
Sure.
So I have a quick question.
Yes.
So there's a sense of fear when it comes to trying anything new, and you're transitioning into a new type of a form of photography. So was there an emotional aspect that came along with it, like a baggage? So was there like a creeping imposter syndrome, fear, you know, immense excitement, and like how did you manage that?
I was excited because it was something so different from what I was doing. 10 years ago, I got into it, but actually it was 7 years before that I actually saw my first tintypes. And I was actually down in Santa Fe, New Mexico. I was walking through a gallery and I saw 2 shiny, tiny metal photos, and I didn't know what they were. So I asked the person at the gallery, said, "What are these?" And she goes, "These are tintype photos. They're from the Civil War." And they were showing the soldiers. I thought, oh, this is so neat. And I thought, wow, this is really cool. But after that, I didn't think about it again for another 7 years until it came up about 10 years ago.
Gotcha.
Okay, where am I here? Are you guys? Oh, there we go. Yes.
Yeah. So like, how did you, I guess, like harness that, you know, and like how did it translate into like the actual production of the work?
Okay. So I was shooting digital so much. It was part of work. It was every day. I loved it, but I also didn't love it. I was basically a glorified, I was basically on the computer all the time. I was basically a retoucher. So I'm making people look really nice. I'm making their skin look good. I'm making their faces a little longer, whatever. I was always on the computer. So that was work, but I want something more fulfilling. When I started photography back in 1986 or 7 in college, we processed black and white film back then. We used large format cameras. We developed our own pictures. So I started analog. That's where I started my career. And then eventually over the years, went to digital and then fully digital. And then, that's what we do these days. But I just wanted something a little different. So I started looking I wanted to go back to analog. So I started shooting film again on a small camera and then larger film. Then I started shooting Polaroids, something instant. And I wanted something more. And then all of a sudden, tintypes came up. A friend of mine told me he was taking a workshop on tintypes. I go, what's tintypes? And he told me, he goes, oh yeah, that's stuff I saw 7 years ago. So I couldn't take the workshop. Eventually, it sold out. So basically, I think it was like a season later, I finally got in. And once I did it, I was working with the chemicals. I was making pictures with my hands. I was hooked. So immediately after that, I was shooting with this thing called a 4x5 camera. So basically the plate was 4x5 inches, but I wanted to go bigger. So I wanted an 8x10 camera. I want to shoot big plates, like go big or go home. That's what I kind of thought back then. So I put the word out that I was looking for an 8x10 camera. And within 2 weeks, someone told me that there was an 8x10 camera. Someone's selling one. There's a certain model called a Deerdorf, which is kind of rare and hard to find. Someone's selling it in Kananasis in Alberta. So I said, oh, interesting. And then I emailed the guy, said, hey, I heard you're selling camera. And he goes, yeah, like 3 people want to buy this camera. So why should I sell it to you? I says, what? It's like, okay. And he goes, what are you going to do with it? Like, he was very protective of the camera. He wanted to go to a good home. So I said, I want to do black and white prints. I want to do tintypes. And he goes, yeah, you know what? We can chat. So basically, when I was working, I had to do a job in Alberta, and I just had to do a shoot in Kananasis. So 2 weeks later, I flew in, I did my job, finished the job, told the guy I was done. We met at a hotel and we had a 2-hour chat. And we talked about photography, black and white, and tintypes, and this whole process. He goes, Phil, I really like you. I'm going to sell you the camera. So basically, I bought the camera, all the lenses, and I started fully getting into tintypes. I started taking workshops in Vancouver, Toronto, Portland, New York, Seattle. A couple times. I did quite a few. So I got totally immersed in it, and I got hooked. Sorry, I'm babbling on a bit.
No, that's amazing. It's like it's really that serendipity, and it's funny because like the last one's a theme was kismet, and so it really did feel like kismet because you have like the project in Kalanasis, and then and it really and it's was really the only reason why he sold to you was because of the passion behind it, and the heart behind it, right? And so that really made a precedence of like, well, I need to put my intention and my passion on this forward, right? I think Jessa has another question.
Yeah, and actually that also answers one of the other questions that was in the chat just about how you find your camera. And so that actually hits that question as well, which is great. And then I have, so what happens to the plates on the photographs after they're taken? How do people use them, or like what happens after they're completed?
Okay, so here's an example. So can I do this bigger? Okay, so here, you see this? So here's a plate. It's metal. So basically what I do after I take the photograph, I varnish the plate with a varnish, and this is made, handmade.
No, I'm joking.
Petron, aka varnish, Sandrak. So this is one of the original types of varnish they used back in the day, but I also use modern varnishes. So basically, once the plate is varnished, it is protected. And these photographs in the past from the 1850s are still around. So they will last over 150 years. So when I take a photograph of somebody, they're actually, at that moment in time, they are immortalized. It will last for their grandchildren or longer. So we really are capturing a moment in time. We're capturing them now. So, and they get to keep the plates and they display them at home or whatever they want to do with them. So, so this was a special project. I don't know if I showed those photographs earlier. I don't know if I can say this, but did a project a month and a half ago, Ukraine model. She's from Ukraine. The clothing stylist is from Ukraine. All the clothing is done by the Ukraine stylist. And we did 3 shots. And what we want to do was talk about what was happening in Ukraine. And basically, we wanted to show strong Ukrainian women who is not afraid of what's happening there, that they're independent, they will fight for their country. So we did 3 images, and we're actually putting a fundraiser together. We're selling 3 of the prints, and the money raised is going to the clothing stylist friend who's a doctor in Ukraine, and he buys medicine for people who cannot afford medicine right now, who can't get medicine right now. And then the other half is going to be going to another friend of hers who buys used cars. And what they do with the used cars is that they drive Ukrainians out of the country, so they can be safe. So yeah, but that was a worthwhile project, and that's just something that came up from doing this process. And another thing happened when we shot the photographs. The model and the stylist, through all different photographs, they saw their mothers in these photographs. It was interesting that they related. They can see themselves in them as long as with their mothers. So it bonded us that day. It was such a beautiful experience where we just, I don't know. Anyways, sorry.
Yeah, no, it's such a beautiful way to create, like, in the present moment, connecting to the past and then keeping the future, keeping the culture alive in the future. Because, it's just, Ukraine is, yeah, having a struggle right now. I mean, obviously, and it's beautiful that you've captured their culture in something that's going to last so long. Sorry, I think JCC has one more question. I think we'll try and squeeze it in, but we really appreciate you here, Philip, that's sharing this whole process with us. It's been really interesting with the visuals and everything and seeing how it's done. So it's really cool behind the scenes.
Yeah. One quick question is actually, how did you, well, one, like, how do you get your models and, like, and align yourself with the right projects? One, and two, also, can you let us know what the name of that project is and how we can support it, right? With the used cars and driving over.
For that one, we're going to be doing an online auction. I'm still trying to figure out how to do an online auction for this. I've been searching the web because we want to make it open to everyone.
Right.
So it's on my Facebook / or Instagram, somewhere in there. So I'm going to be updating it on that under the photographs that it's on my Instagram site. So we'll update it with that. And I'm sorry, what's the first question again?
How do you find your models? And because you have so many different projects going on at the same time, right? So it's like, how do you find the models? How do you find, like, the right fit and stuff like that? Yeah.
Okay, so say for example, what are my projects? Okay, so for Chinatown, so I'm photographing members of the community from Vancouver and Toronto. So the Toronto is with the Toronto Chinatown Foundation. They're going to help me find people to photograph. That's the association. And Vancouver is the Vancouver Chinatown Foundation or something like that. Anyways, so basically I'm having them reach out to people to find people in the community who are the heart of the community. So people like the old grandmother who looks after the children and grandchildren, the person who is the line dancer who believes in tradition, or the person in the Chinese market who stocks the shelves, or the storekeeper, or stuff like that. I want to find people from the community, because I don't know about Toronto community is kind of spread apart. Markham, downtown, by Spadina and Spadina and Richmond. That's where Gallery 40 is. And that's where I'm going to be shooting the portraits of the people from Chinatown in Toronto. But in Vancouver, it's diminishing very quickly. It's not what it used to be. I grew up in Chinatown and I don't recognize it at all. And it's so different. It's gentrified. Nothing wrong with that, in that people need to live, but they've changed it so much that I don't recognize it anymore. So I want to capture it before it's gone. You know, what is this? This is May. Apparently it's Asian Heritage Month, I believe. Asian Heritage, something like that. Well, yeah. To me, it's every day is Asian Heritage Day. So I don't want to see it disappear. So I want to capture it before it's gone. And it's a personal project. So there's no money in it. I'm just doing it for myself. And then with the images, I'm going to give copies to each of the subjects that I'm photographing. But at the end of the day, I do want to have a show showing them in Toronto and in Vancouver of the people there.
Incredible. Yeah, I think it's so important to have the partnerships, to have like the real members and stakeholders within the communities that you want to serve. I think that goes for any of us with the projects that we want to pursue. Really, like, think about, you know, who are the voices that we're trying to uplift, and what are the frames that we're trying to capture, you know, part of the pun, you know, and really like speaking to the organizations that can help connect us with that. But thank you so much, Phillip, for your time, for presenting with us. Yeah, you've just really shedded so much light on, you know, your process, and as well as just so much heart that can go into the work that we do every single day. But with that, y'all, we have gone slightly over time. This has been fantastic, everyone. Thank you so much for showing up. And with that, Dorothy, cue the music. Let's dance on out of here.